So I'm going to be going through a dynamic upper body warm-up with you today. I guess it was 2 weeks ago almost, I put up a lower body. I didn't have any commentary on it. So I want to go through some of the things with you. My upper body, whether it's upper body or lower body, my warm-ups, dynamic warm-ups, always begin with SMR, self-myofascial release. Really get some pressure and hopefully get some heat into that fascia tissue, get out adhesions. Because what happens is that fascia and those knots respond to heat and pressure. Specifically pressure, it should not hurt when you push onto a muscle. And that's something I specifically learned from Kelly Starrett, or just remember from him at least. And so doing this gets out a lot of those adhesions. I get very tight. I have a lot of compound movements. And I try not to be too dysfunctional in my movement patterns so I don't get bad adhesions, really bad. But my upper back is always very, very packed in terms of like adhesion and knots and such. And so I always start, whether it's upper body or lower body, start with the back foam rolling. This foam roller is really, really soft. It doesn't do a whole lot. It really just gets me some heat and some pressure into the area. If I want to use a rumble roller, we're going to be doing it in a couple seconds, is actually using a medicine ball. But first, what I'm doing here is some shoulder dislocations, really opening up that thoracic spine, getting a huge thoracic extension there. This doesn't hurt at all for me. I just want to make sure that my thumbs are pointing down, my hips and my lower back and my hips are trying to touch the ground. And I'm trying to just raise up over my head as much as I can. And so what I should have done, thinking back, is I should have done the opposite, laid on my belly and done some thoracic extension and band dislocates behind my head. I'm bringing it down to my butt. However, I didn't quite get there. So now I'm going back into my lats. Since this is going to be a primarily upper body workout, starting with my upper body at least, I want to get some more lats instead of just my mid back, and which I do with upper and lower bodies. So I'm getting a little bit more specific here, getting into that lat area. As you can see, I'm extending my lat by pulling my elbow up or opening that armpit, trying to get some tissue work done in there. A huge point I always like to focus on with my clients, and especially myself, is continue to breathe during any SMR or stretching. Always breathing. Here I trained out that foam roller for the harder medicine ball. I love using medicine balls for SMR work because they have that roundness, 360 degrees. You can really get into nooks and crannies. You can do some pretty cool stretches from my back into the front, as you'll be seeing here. Really working on my teres major and minor here, when that lat insertion toward the armpit. And you see I just rolled over, got in my armpit, and now I'm going into my chest. And these feel incredible on the shoulder and on your chest, really kind of that tie-in area. And so what I'm doing here is I'm actually putting all of my weight into that medicine ball. My hand is there for support so I don't fall over, but the vast majority of my body weight is into that medicine ball, into my chest right now. Again, I'm breathing. I'm periodically flexing the muscle and then releasing it, relaxing it. And here I tuck my arm behind my back, as you can't really see on this side, but when I go to the other side, you'll be able to see it. And I'm tucking it back, getting some shoulder extension, trying to extend that interior deltoid, which doesn't get a whole lot of direct stretching work and or trigger point work. And I'm really trying to get into there, going back to my upper back on this side. And so I just kind of go through this motion on the other side. I'm not going to do any commentary to that because it's the exact same thing. So I'll see you back in just a couple of moments. So I'm nearly done with the rolling, and so you can see here I'm going into a frog stretch, getting some huge overhead extension here, really trying to open up my thoracic area, open up that shoulder caps a little more, get some stretching in after the foam rolling. I probably should have done a little bit more stretching for my upper body, but I didn't feel that I need it, so I'm going into some activation. So my workouts have a pretty good structure. I start with SMR work, I do just dynamic stretching, I go into activation and core work, and then I go into central nervous activation or explosive activation. Here I'm getting some mobility on my lower body. I'm activating my glutes by pushing my knees out, and I turn to the side so you can see my lower back is remaining arched. I'm actually arching on purpose, and then retracting my shoulder blades and get some band dislocations working that shoulder area. A couple overhead squats with that. Something I want to work on in the future is overhead squats, just weighted, not just the mobility aspect, because as you can see, I can get down there just fine. It's not a problem. But really kind of opening up my shoulder, stretching it out, as well as activating some of my upper back muscles and my core. Here, I believe that rowing and warming up the back sufficiently for pressing is paramount. So I just do some band rows, nothing too fancy at all. I didn't even count the reps, I just felt it was good, 8, 15, 10, whatever it may be. I'm just rolling back, really not focusing on my arms getting back as much, but really retracting my shoulder blades. And what you'll see here is what I'm doing is I'm grabbing the old kettlebell here. So I'm laying down, and what I'm going to be doing is it's a pseudo Turkish get up, or the first portion of it. I'm not actually getting off the ground. I'm just activating my core, my serratus, my obliques, as well as some of the pressing muscles here. Getting a nice stretch in my pecs, and then coming across, really flexing my pec as well as my shoulder, and warming up that core area for stabilization. And I do it on the other side. It's just like an exaggerated fly, and there's nothing really to it. I could go all the way up, like a Turkish get up if I wanted to, but I'm not really interested in that at this point. And just do a couple reps there. And then I go into a tricep extension. I was really making this up on the fly. I was going with what felt good, what I wanted to do. Everything's flowing together, and that's how a proper warm-up should be. It shouldn't be too segmented. It should flow together. It should really work in like kind of segments that just meld together, literally flowing together. As you can see, I'm just doing some extensions. My triceps, I like to use some push downs usually, but I had that there, so I went ahead and did that. I felt a huge knot in my upper back here when I was doing those extensions, so I just went back to my med ball, stretched it out, or rolled it out a little bit. Deep breathing, continuing that deep breathing. And so what I do after this is a little bit of CNS activation, central nervous system activation, some explosive work with the bench there. I do some kind of side shuffles for my core on a plank position, going side to side on the board, as well as some deficit uneven push-ups, just side to side, really being explosive as I can, just hopping around. And then I realize, wait, I gotta be in the middle, gotta scoot over, do some close grip push-ups for my shoulders and triceps. And so now I'm really starting that explosive stuff. I'm trying to get up as high as I can, trying to maintain my core posture. It's fading a little bit. My hips are folding up just a slight tad, or just a little bit, but trying to keep it as maintained and consistent as possible. We're going to go ahead and log off here, but thank you very much for watching, and hope I can give you